Hello, welcome to my first YouTube video, first tutorial. I will be showing you today how to make this top that I am wearing. I hope you can see it quite a bit, but I will also be adding obviously like photos of it as well. I'm really excited because this is a free pattern, so that means that I've also linked in the description below a PDF version of it, so you can just like read along whilst you watch the video or do as you please with it. And yeah, I'm really excited because I think this pattern is pretty like easy to make, and that's why I also said that it is beginner friendly. However, there is, a stitch in this, the slip stitch, which is a little difficult because it's a bit different to what beginners would be used to doing at this point. I know that I would probably have struggled as a beginner with that stitch, so I do hope that you power through, because once you get a hang of it, this top is easy like easy to make, and it works up pretty quick, so I do hope you enjoy it. And yeah, just a little side note as well, as this is my first tutorial, there have been like a few mistakes, so please, just give me a bit of grace while I figure things out. But yeah, it's super quick, it's less than 20 minutes, and I hope that you enjoy it. So let's get into it. For this tutorial, we're going to need a cotton blend yarn. I'm using Kinko in 4-ply. You do not have to use a 4-ply yarn. I just like the way smaller yarn sizes look. And this one has 58% cotton, 38% polyamide, and 4% of something. And the next thing, of course, is our 2.5mm hook, stitch markers, scissors, and measuring tape. You do not have to use the measuring tape, I just like to. And yeah, that is everything we need for this tutorial. To begin our top, I will be making a foundation double crochet. Now you can do a chain and a double crochet if you want, but I prefer to make a foundation double crochet because it's faster and it's really easy too. So we just have to make a chain 3. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and then we're going to yarn over and we're going to insert a hook into the left loop of the first chain, and then I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to insert it into the back loop as well, just like that. And then I'm going to yarn over again and pull through both those loops of the first chain. So now I have 3 loops on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over, pull through just 1 loop, and then I'm going to make our double crochet. So that's going to be a yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that counts as a second double crochet. To make the next one, we're going to yarn over, and then it can be a bit tricky with this part, but basically we're going into those bottom loops we have when you turn your work this way. And so those 2 loops you see, we're going to go through them, then we're going to yarn over and pull through to have 3 loops on our hook, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 1, that's our base for the double crochet, and then we're going to make a double crochet as normal. To show you one more time, we're going to yarn over, I'm going to turn my work, and we're going to go into those 2 loops we see at the bottom. We're going to yarn over, pull through both of them, we're going to yarn over again, pull through 1, that's our next base, and to yarn over, pull through 2 to make it normal double crochet. And that's it. So the first chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and basically we want to continue doing this until we get to our desired top length. Okay, so I created my desired top length, and this should actually measure about 20 inches. So it sits up round where my belly button is, so that's about 20 inches. And what we're going to do is actually add an extra inch. For me, with 4-ply yarn and a 2.5mm hook. This is about 6 double crochets. So I'm going to add 6 double crochets and I'm going to end up with 103 double crochets in this row. So I've added my extra inch and now we're going to begin row 2. This is the tricky part. We're going to start with a chain 1. Then I'm going to turn our work and we're going to make a tall slip stitch. To do this, we're going to yarn over, we're going to insert a hook into the last double crochet, we're going to yarn over again, and then we're going to pull through all the loops. So that is our first stitch of this second row. To make the next one, we are going to actually insert a hook into the same stitch again. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. Then we're going to go into the next one. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then we're going to go through all of them. It's kind of like making decreases, but instead of obviously your work decreasing, it's actually going to create a pattern, sort of like a ridge for this top. So for the next one, I'm going to go in again, I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, then I'm going to go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then we're going to make a slip stitch. I'm going to go into the same one again, and then the next one, pull up a loop, and there we go. And you can sort of see the pattern it's starting to create. And I'm going to continue doing this until we get to the end. We are now at the end of row 2, but I have one stitch left and I'm going to show you how to do this. So as normal, we are going to go into the same stitch, pull up a loop, and then for our chain, which we're going into, third chain from the foundation double crochet, I'm going to insert my hook into one of the loops, and then I'm going to find the other one. It's a bit tricky. There we go. And then I'm going to pull through both of them, and then I'm going to pull through all to finish off a slip stitch. So that is the end of row 2. Row 3 is going to be double crochets in the back loop only. Now you can start this row however you like, but I like to start mine with a chainless double crochet. And to do this, I'm going to turn my work, and as you can see, we have V's that are formed at the top of a stitch. So I'm going to go into the back one, and then I'm going to make a single crochet, and then I'm going to go into the left loop, and I'm going to make another single crochet. So it's basically called the chainless method because I'm not making any chains to start this row, and I quite like this method because it looks a bit cleaner. And for the rest of this row, I'm just going to make double crochets in the back loop only. Okay, I am now done with a third row of double crochets in back loop only. To continue this pattern, we will just be repeating row 2s and 3. Row 2 and 3. And always keep doing this until it reaches half of a bust width. Depending on how tight you want it to fit, you can do less rows. And then of course I'll meet you when we get there. Okay, I ended up making 43 rows, and this measures about 6 inches less than my bust width. Again, it all depends on how you want it to fit. So if you added more rows, it would be looser, but you can always sort of like place it on you and then stretch it out to see if you like the way it fits. So now that I'm done with the main pattern, I'm going to make a row of single crochets around this edge, the top edge, and the other side. And this is just to make sure that when we do join both panels, it's a lot easier. So for the first side, I'm going to single crochet along each stitch till the end. To start us off, I will chain one, turn my work, and then I'm going to make single crochets all the way to the end. Alright guys, so I got to the end of my row of single crochets, and to work on this edge we will be making 2 single crochets in the rows that have double crochets and 1 single crochet in the rows that have slip stitches. So to start us off, I will chain 1, and then I'm going to go, and I hope this goes into focus. There we go. And I'm going to insert my hook into this double crochet stitch. That's my first single crochet, and then I'm going to go into it again. There we go. And that's 1 row done. For the next row, which is a slip stitch, as you can see from the back, which is this one right here, I'm actually going to go right through here. There we go. And then another double crochet row, so I'm going to do 2. So that's going to be my first one. Oopsie. And then my second one. And then the next row is a slip stitch row. So I'm just going to go through the center. Once, and then I'm going to go through the double crochet twice. We're just going to keep doing that until we get to the end, and I'll meet you there. Now that I'm done with this end, this row of single crochets, I'm going to make our last row of single crochets. And basically, because I'm working with this end, if you have the same thing as me and you actually made double crochet, a double crochet foundation chain, you're going to chain 1 and place it into this little loop, because that actually counts as our first stitch. So I'm going to place the first one in here, and then I'm going to work single crochets till I reach the end. Alright guys, so now that I finished making single crochet around 3 sides, I have attached my stitch markers where I want to make my joins for the shoulder seams and the armpits. Basically, my armhole depth measures 7.5 inches, but I minused 1 inch, so it's 6.5 inches that this measures. So that's from like the top where we had a single crochet all the way down here, and that's about 36 single crochets. So I've marked it on each each side of both my panels. And for my shoulder seams, gosh, I can't speak. For my shoulder seams, I have made that about 2 inches, and that measures around 10 single crochets I've kind of like freehanded it. I've not gone based on any gauge, so that's what I've done over here. And yeah, I'm ready to join both panels together. Right, I'm going to show you how I like to join, but please feel free to do whatever method is easiest to you. This might be a bit complicated for beginners, so you really don't have to do this. Basically, I have chained one, so when you chain one, we are going to make slip stitches into the back loop of this first panel and the front loop of the second panel. So I'm going to go into the front loop and basically I'm going to make a slip stitch in both of them, just like that. So I'll show you again. I'm going to go into the front loop of the next panel and then the back loop. I'm going to go into the back loop of the first panel and the front loop of the second panel. Like that. So back loop of the first panel, front loop of the second panel, and make my slip stitch. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I connect both of the stitches with stitch markers, and that's going to be it. Alright guys, I am almost at the end. I just have one more join to make, but for the joins with stitch markers, we are actually going to go into both loops just to make sure that our top feels more secured. Just because with wearing constantly, which I hope you do, it might start to get a bit looser with just us joining 2 loops. So now we're obviously going to join 4 loops. So I'm going to go into the first 2 of my first panel and then the next 2 of my second panel, and then I'm going to make my slip stitch as normal, and then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to pull through, ready to bind that off later. And that's it. So it's joining both panels, just 2 loops up until you get to stitch markers, and then joining all the loops of each stitch. And now I will be showing you how to make the joins at the shoulders. So for the shoulder seams, we're actually going to go into our chain 1 first. And basically, I've already attached my yarn to this panel, and I'm going to turn my work, and then, sorry, I'm just going to make this a bit more focused. There we go. So I'm going to turn, and I'm actually going to go into this first chain. That was a bit of a struggle, but yeah, this first chain, and then I'm going to go into the back of this one. So right now I've actually not gone into any single crochets, but those chain ones we did when we were turning our work. And so for the next one, I'll obviously go into the front loop again, like so, and then I'm going to go into the back loop of this one, there we go, and then I'm just going to keep doing this until I get to both stitch markers. And just like what we did for the last one, I'm going to go into both loops for the stitch markers. I will be going into both loops of each stitch to finish binding this off. I'll do that again. Right, okay. It can be quite frustrating with the stitch markers still in. So I'm going to go into both loops, and then I'm going to make one final slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1 and then finish that off. Alright guys, we are done. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I hope you love your new top if you've made one as well. And if you did, you could tag me on Instagram or anything, or just let me know in the comments below how it went for you and what you thought about it. And yeah, like I said before, I do apologize for any of the mistakes you saw, during the tutorial. I'm still getting the hang of everything, but if you have any advice or tips to sort of help me with the next video, please let me know. Yeah, I really hope that you loved this top. I really hope that you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next one.